Hi there. Welcome to the Pharos Digital Dojo. And this is our AI Mastery presentation. Really, truly simple. This is where we answer the most common questions we hear. And we call our yellow belts the worried watcher. And if you know, you know, this is the level where we're comfortable asking questions, but we're not yet confident that we should move forward. So this is worried watcher, or honestly, your ChatGPT curious, you just haven't jumped in. And usually what I hear people when they come to me and they want to take this level is, what if I fall behind? The other thing I hear a lot is AI is going to steal my clients. AI is going to kill my business. It's going to take my job. This is a lot to worry about. So my goal is to give you confidence. So I want to assure you at this level, you are just going to be discovering that your domain level of expertise is your superpower. So if you're an accountant and you're coming to this, you're not going to ask it about physics or quantum mechanics or, quite frankly, being a mechanic. You're going to use it to help you be a better accountant. Again, you are the grown-up in the room. It's up to you. And the reason we use your domain expertise for getting to know ChatGPT in the yellow belt is you can say, you know what, that doesn't sound right. Or actually, more accurately, you can say, you know what, that's wrong, and here's why. So we want something where we're going to build some confidence, we're going to build momentum by understanding and finding ways to get ChatGPT to augment us as a human and amplify what we're good at. So in our yellow belt, we look for tasks that AI can make irrelevant, or as we have it, it's a 3-step process. What can we eliminate, automate, or delegate? And what we hope to accomplish and what we recommend is that you can see through your efforts in the yellow belt, and this is your efforts alone. If you don't follow the system doesn't work for you. You have to trust the system, you have to follow the system, you have to practice the system. If you do that consistently, I know for a fact you will get at least a 10 times return on investment. And the currency I look at when I'm looking at return on investment is time. How much time am I putting into this? Energy. Does this give me energy, take energy away from me? Attention. How much of my attention does it require? How much attention does it give me back? So that I have attention for other things. And then the final currency is money. How much does it save me, or how much can it earn me? So return on investment is twofold, and it compounds. I look at time, energy, attention, money, and it can either save me time, energy, attention, and money, or it can give me time, energy, attention, and money. In a perfect world, it does both. So that's what we're always looking for, is that return on investment. And honest to God, the single most highly leveraged thing you can do is learn how to prompt properly with ChatGPT to get rid of the mundane in your business. And what we like to do and what our members want is they're asking the question, show me how this saves me actual time today, not just eventually. So this is our AI Mastery Belt Map. And again, I'm not going to get into the details. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. But the overwhelmed observer doesn't know what they don't know. The worried watcher, you're starting to suspect that you don't know what you need to know. And then once we get into the higher levels, we're going for, the goal is the empowered advocate, where you're not just confident yourself, you're confident guiding your team. And by the way, that team might extend to your clients, it might extend to employees, it might extend to your peers in your community. That's up to you to decide what matters for you. So I created this because I love helping people. I'm sick and tired of watching people struggle with something that I find very simple, I find very amazing. Literally, this is a miracle in our modern times. It's a man-made miracle, so not blasphemous by any stretch. But basically, we have this amazing tool, and my goal is to create the necessary steps towards mastery. And this is all about frequency and a deliberate rhythm towards integration and innovation. So these are the frequently asked questions. And question one is actually one of my favorites because it is amazing. So the question is, what if I'm already too late to catch up with AI? And for the record, I've been there. Some days I have that exact question. And for the record, I've been using ChatGPT for over 3 years. Probably my first 3 months, I dabbled and I kind of, I'll learn it later. The good news is everybody is new to generative AI in particular, but also the field of AI. There's a few originals who've been around. AI has been around since I believe the 50s. There's been a few. There are few experts, and by few I mean 1% of the population at most, that have used AI from day one. There's a lot of great people who've been using it for a while, but in the hands of the common entrepreneur, the average person like you or I, very few people can honestly say, and I've actually seen job postings looking for 5+ years experience. ChatGPT hasn't been around that long, so good luck. So what I want you to understand is that it's never too late to start. There is a Chinese proverb that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And a friend of mine put it well, and it helped me understand. Think of anything in life as a parade. There's somebody leading the parade always. There's going to be people who are ahead of you, but if you come into the parade where you are ready and where you are today, you can help others catch up too. So I would argue it's never too late. Believe it or not, I have a friend who's in his 80s who is learning how to use ChatGPT. He was bored and he figured he better learn something new. So it's never too late to start. The key is you have to start. Question two is about eliminating hype. And really, truly, I hear this a lot. How do I know which tools actually fit my business, not just hype? And I'm going to be blunt. 99% of the tools out there I see are overhyped. So what I would say is pick one tool. So it says plural tools. I'm going to give you the homework. Pick one tool and master it. Now, what I mean by that is that the one tool you pick should help you do whatever it is that you do better, faster, more reliable, more accurate, more consistent, whatever it is, it should give you leverage. And the way I look at it, pick one tool, use that tool, integrate it into your workflows, save time from it, save your time, energy, attention, or money, or earn more time, energy, attention, money back, and optimize that one tool. And once that tool is fully integrated and optimized, then you look for the next. Excuse me. So the key is, if you're a graphic designer, you're probably going to look at a tool that helps you design graphics. I once attended, I'm not kidding, a workshop where somebody had a wheel of about 350 plus different AI tools in general that I could use and implement in my business. And they recommended that you dive deep into each one of those 350. And my brain shut down. I said, no way, not going to happen. So early on, I use ChatGPT, period. There are a lot of tools. I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying ChatGPT fits really well into my workflow. And as a writer, as a content creator, as an educator, even as a podcaster, ChatGPT solves a lot of my business problems. And really, truly, if I need someone with expertise in another tool, I'm going to hire that someone, not become that someone myself. So I would encourage you, think about the repetitive tasks in your business, what could or should be automated. And for the record, that's going to vary by industry. It's going to vary by role. Really, truly, even in an actual one single business, you might have multiple tools. But the key is put the right people in the hand in the tools, give them the tools they need, train them on it, and really, truly, I believe in mastery over generalities and being a generalist. Chet Holmes is one of my favorite people. He's one of my favorite authors. He wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. And he uses, I think it's a quote from Bruce Lee, where he says, I don't fear the man who has practiced 4,000 techniques. I fear the man who has practiced one technique 4,000 times. So we're going to focus on mastery, not spreading ourselves massively thinly. So that's question 2. Now, question 3, is there a simple way to test if AI can save me real time or money? And I would add energy and attention there. So the answer is yes. Think about it. And this is really, truly up to you. Obviously, you're watching videos on ChatGPT. So I'm going to be very specific about ChatGPT. One of the amazing things I do, and I've seen done well, is I will type in or share or copy and paste, whatever it is, my existing way of doing a thing. And then I will ask ChatGPT to tear it apart. The term I use is tiger team it. If you're not familiar with tiger teams, it's a military term. After something happens, they bring a bunch of experts together in a room and they tear it apart to see what we did well, what we didn't do well, and what we should have stopped doing or should have not done. But basically, you can ask ChatGPT to help you. And I put it in context as a role, because obviously that's what we do. I give ChatGPT the role of a systems designer, a systems thinker, or whatever the term is for that particular project. And I'll say, here's what I do. Help me optimize this process. Now, my language is, what can I eliminate? What must I automate? And what's left over that can be delegated? So again, give you a really weird example. I used to do a lot of public speaking. And when I first started, I organized my own events. So I was the guy who booked the flights, the hotel, the venue. I was there first thing in the morning, setting up the space. Believe it or not, I actually got to the point I could set up my own audio visual stuff. I was a one-man event. And then I brought on a partner and I realized, oh my God, if he does all of this other stuff and I just focus on the content and giving my best energy to the audience, that was the highest and best use of my time. So if I had AI way back then, I would have found ways to help eliminate, automate, or delegate and create standard operating procedures so that honestly, we had 2 entrepreneurs doing mundane tasks. We could have easily outsourced that to a virtual assistant. Question 4. What are other people in my field actually doing with AI right now? This is absolutely a fantastic question. And couple of thoughts on it. Number one, you can put this as a query into ChatGPT. I would give it more context. I would give it more of a framework, but ChatGPT can tell you what people are using it for in your field. Now, the other thing is obviously you can talk to other people. This question is very much, as I said earlier in a previous question, it's very much industry specific. And within an industry, it's very much role specific. So I'll give you a few examples. Salespeople use it to do some research and to tailor their approaches and conversations to the actual prospect. I'm seeing accountants using it for proofing and editing of reports. Key phrase here, you're the grown up in the room. Make sure you personally proof and edit before it goes out the door. I'm just seeing it as a way to accelerate and eliminate the obvious errors before you get to the final review. So there always must be a final review. It is exceptional at analyzing written data and looking for patterns. It's also really good at analyzing spreadsheets and identifying trends and things like that. I use it a lot when I'm building my own spreadsheets, so it can help me come up with formulas, it'll give me ideas for ways to analyze the data that I didn't know about. So one of the things I do is I will anonymize a spreadsheet. So let's pretend I am trying to analyze something for my company. Let's actually, I'll finish the analyze thing and then we'll talk about it. But basically, let's say I wanted to analyze my personal company profit and loss. I can take off my company name and upload it. Again, I don't put private proprietary stuff in there. But the other thing I do is if I find a table on the internet and it's about, let's say I want to understand the population change in a city over time, ChatGPT can help me analyze the numbers in a numerical setting. It can create a written report based on the numbers, and it can even help me identify what is the best way to visually share that data. So that's actually probably a really good use case for accountants, for example. Let's be real, we love spreadsheets way more than the average person. So showing people rows and columns of numbers makes their head explode. They cry and they run away from us. What you can do is share a spreadsheet and then ask ChatGPT to help you write a narrative to explain it in a story format so that people who like to read can read. And then you can ask it to help you understand and show that visually. So what I do is I have a conversation and say, here's my data. What is the most simple, effective way to visually share this data so that people understand? Question 5. How do I avoid wasting time learning tools that will be obsolete in 6 months? Short answer is you can't know that something will be obsolete in 6 months, but really, truly, I would say if you practice using one tool and you integrate it, that is the easiest way to avoid wasting time. It sounds overly simplified, but really, truly, I would master one tool that works for you. And that by choosing that one tool and by focusing on it, you're not going to get distracted by everything. The other thing that's sort of a smart aleck answer, but really, truly ask yourself, does this tool help me, or is it going to cost me time, energy, attention, and money? Um, if it doesn't give you an immediate return on investment, my question is, why are you doing it? So, my little recommendation for people: business, ultimately, success or failure depends on your ability to generate revenue. So I look at tools as nice to have. Those are the tools that make my life easier. And I look at tools as must have. And those are the tools that generate revenue in my business. So if something doesn't help my business generate revenue or give me an immediate win, I don't bother learning it now. So I use the Pareto principle as my filter. If something doesn't pass the Pareto principle, it doesn't happen in my world, period. So I'm pretty hardcore. I recognized a long time ago that if I said yes to one thing, I had to say no to something else to make time. So wasting time is a bad habit I gave up a long time ago. Question 6. What if I try ChatGPT and it makes me look incompetent or unoriginal? The good news and the bad news is that this is all 100% your choice. Now, I say that's good and bad news because the bad news is if you allow it, ChatGPT can make you look really incompetent or unoriginal. I'll explain that. But if you're aware of that, you can choose to not look incompetent or unoriginal. So, what I mean by that, ChatGPT has 2 settings. It's built in by factory and it's default. You will not find this in any documentation or on any internet site. The 2 default settings, one is garbage in, garbage out, and the other is brilliance in, brilliance out. Now, I'm making a joke. It is not actually a setting, but really, truly, it is there. So here's what I'm going to say. Garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know what to ask for or how to ask for it, that's garbage input. And you're going to get garbage out. So that means unstructured prompts, unclear instructions, vague communication, or God forbid, the vending machine where you go up, drop your quarter in, say, hey, ChatGPT, roll the dice and give me a blog post. Guess what? Garbage in, garbage out. Now, brilliance in, brilliance out is also a choice. And I want you to understand this is all choice. Brilliance in, brilliance out. If you're operating in a field where you are, in fact, an expert and you know how to use prompting to get results and you communicate clearly, you can put in your brilliance and it will come back to you brighter, more amplified, and more original. Now, I hear a lot of people saying, there's studies out there that ChatGPT is making us dumber. It's taking away our creativity. It's taking away our originality. It's taking away our authenticity. That's a choice. So for me personally, I don't sit back and let the algorithm do the work for me. I have it as a dialogue. So again, bad is if you go up, type in and just say, give me this, and then whatever you get from ChatGPT, you take it, copy it, and paste it on your website. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of that is out there. And when I first started using ChatGPT, I read all of this garbage and I went, wow, ChatGPT is terrible. It's creating, and people were like, oh, I use ChatGPT to make this. And it's like, it's garbage, or worse, it's unoriginal, it's boring, it's bland. Turns out they just didn't know how to ask better questions, how to communicate. So if you want to be competent and original, you need to recognize that you are the adult in the room. It is up to you to say, this is good, this is bad, help me do something. And the originality part, the world wants unique viewpoints, it wants your viewpoint. So if you just let ChatGPT take the wheel and tell you here's what it's going to be, you're going to be unoriginal. And really, truly, this is where ChatGPT is overhyped. A lot of people think it's thinking and it's analyzing and it's creating unique content. It isn't. What it's doing, and it's a miracle, don't get me wrong, it's calculating the next most likely word in a sentence, and then it calculates the next and the next. It just does the calculations really quickly. So it looks impressive, and I believe the output can be impressive, but what it's doing is calculating probabilities of what the next best word should be based on existing content. So if you want to be original, share your original ideas, ask ChatGPT to challenge you, to help you polish it. Don't rely on the calculations to make you look original, because I promise it's not possible. If you're just letting the algorithm do the work, you're going always to get an average response. And I do mean average because it looks at trillions of data points and says, okay, here's what most people think about this topic. And really, truly, that's not how you stand out. What you want to do is share what's unique about you, or what you see as unique, or what is your unique perspective on something. It's not, oh, we're not re-quoting, we're not reinventing. And by the way, it really, really pains me when people embed other people's insights into their work and don't quote the original source. I don't know what happened, but somewhere in the age of AI, we lost track of respect for copyright or original content. So, for example, if I talk about Chet Holmes and the Ultimate Sales Machine, and I am talking about one of the principles he follows, either the core story, the stadium pitch, the Dream 100, I always reference Chet Holmes and say, here's where I'm inspired. Now, I can have my unique take on how I apply it, but integrity, I have to still say that Chet Holmes inspired me. So you can be original, you can have an original viewpoint on a topic, but please don't ever take somebody else's thoughts, words, frameworks, work, and present it as your own. It's still an intellectual integrity issue for me personally. Question 7. How can I tell the difference between marketing fluff and practical use cases? I love this question, and you're going to hate the answer. My default is to assume everything is marketing fluff. And once I've proven it to myself that it's practical, then it becomes practical. And what I mean by that, I'm not picking on the world at large. I'm not taking on everybody out there, but there is a lot of hype. And I'll give you an example. The term agent is overused right now. And it pains me because an actual AI agent is a very specific thing. It is autonomous, it has persistent memory, it makes decisions about what to do, what not to do. It is actually a legitimately standalone agent. Now, what most people call an agent, and what I see all the time on the brobots on LinkedIn, they say, hey, look at my agent. And I call them brobots because they say bro a lot. It's really painful. They'll say, hey, look at my agent. And then when you look at it, it's actually a workflow that they cobbled together in a tool like Zapier or make.com or N8N, a workflow is not an agent. And why I say that, a workflow is a series of steps performed by technology that will be run consistently every time. There is no free will, there is no choice, or there's no path that is different from the one path. It is a straight line. You start at A and you end up at B. That is not an agent by definition. And if somebody doesn't know the difference between an agent and a workflow, they're going to mislead you. So buyer beware. So start with the default, everything's fluff until I've proven it to myself that it works for me. So honestly, and it pains me to say this, you can assume that the Pharos Digital Dojo is in fact marketing fluff, and I'm just here to show you all the bells and whistles of ChatGPT. That's not my intention. However, until you actually take it and use it, it is just fluff. Anything that you consume but you don't actually use is empty calories. So what we do in the Digital Dojo is we have people take generic things that they hear, run it through their expertise filter, and really truly the question we ask our people, how does this apply to me? And as I said, 95% of the cases, the answer is it doesn't. So there's a lot of talk about video content creation right now and how we can use prompts, and I think it's Sora is one, Google has one. We can create these amazing videos. If you're a plumber, carpenter, tradesman of some sort, do you need video? So assume everybody out there is wasting your time until you personally prove that they have a practical use. And once you identify that something is practical, and my goal is that the Pharos Digital Dojo is in fact practical, once you've proven it's practical, then you put your time, energy, attention, money in it. Until it's practical, be wary. So this is a buyer beware. There is a lot of fluff. There's a lot of garbage. One thing I will say is ChatGPT comes across, I'm going to call it confidently. It's not confidence because that's a human trait, but ChatGPT is equally confident when it is correct and when it is wrong. So until you've proven something, assume it's incorrect. That's my approach to life. Now, the good news is you can prove it quickly, but still trust and verify. It's not a trust and move on thing. Question 8. Is there a way to learn AI without needing to be a techie or a prompt engineer? Now, AI in general, you probably need to be a techie or a prompt engineer, but ChatGPT specifically, you don't need to be technical or a prompt engineer. Now, I can say that because when I first started, I believed I had to be a world-class prompt engineer, and I spent a lot of time learning how to be a prompt engineer. It turns out for the average human being with average needs, you do not need to become a prompt engineer. And what I will say, I learned a couple of things. Number one, the superpower, the secret ingredient that gets me most of my results is curiosity. Number two, communication skills. Number three, prompting better. So I'm going to cover those three things in a little bit more detail. The number one thing that helped me understand and use ChatGPT best was curiosity. I ask a lot of questions. I ask it of humans, I ask it of the machines. And what I like about ChatGPT, it tolerates my infinite curiosity well. The average human being gets annoyed after the fifth question. I am curious. I ask questions. And it turns out some people feel like they're being interrogated. So I've learned to adapt that. But really, truly, asking ChatGPT early on, I noticed how I would ask it for something, it would paraphrase it back to me, and then it would do the thing I asked it to do. And I actually said, I'm really curious about your communication style because I'd like to learn how to be a better communicator. And it was actually fascinating because we had these deep conversations about how the model works, how it communicates, how it paraphrases, etc. And believe it or not, that curiosity led me to point two, which is communication, and it helped me become a better communicator in real life. So I learned to be clearer in my instructions. I learned to ask clarifying questions. And if you don't believe me, before I used to, somebody would say, Jeff, do this. And I would go, okay, I got it. I ran away and I do the thing. And they're like, oh, no, 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 no. We started the thing. We needed you to finish the thing, not do the thing from start to finish. Clarifying questions can save you hours of wasted time in real life. And then the third thing we get into is the prompting. And that's just learning to be clear in my instructions. And it's sort of a cycle. It's a pyramid. It's a support foundation. Call it what you will. But being curious, being intentional with my communication, and then embedding that into my prompts, that will get you 95% of the way to what you need. Now, there's other elements and aspects. If you want a career as a prompt engineer, good for you. Become great at it. But if you're just an entrepreneur who's looking to implement AI in your business, good news is you do not have to learn how to be a prompt engineer. Question 9, how do I measure whether AI is genuinely helping me or just creating busy work? This one is a major, major, major pitfall, major problem. The risk is real. And the thing about using ChatGPT is you can be really busy. I can spend 14 hours straight using ChatGPT and not necessarily produce anything. Now, I'm not saying I do, I'm just saying I can. So, what you want to do, and this is my critical benchmark for almost everything, is measure the time something actually takes me doing it myself, and then do the thing using ChatGPT. And really, truly, if I'm seeing a net time savings, great, do more of that. If it actually takes longer or even just as long, why would I bother? Now, for the record, early on, it's going to take you longer because you're learning how to use ChatGPT. You're learning how to communicate better. You're learning how to be curious. You're learning how to prompt. So it will take you longer. But what I've found is if something's repetitive and I know I'm going to do it more than twice, I start by tracking my own performance as a benchmark. And then I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll say, ChatGPT, here's what I'm doing. How do I optimize this? Another thing that I do is I'll give ChatGPT my to-do list, and I will actually get it to sort and help me prioritize. And in my day-to-day life as an entrepreneur, my number one priority is adding value to my clients so that I get paid well. There's two parts to that: adding value and getting paid. two critical pieces, because a lot of people do one, forget the other. It is amazing how many entrepreneurs forget the get paid part. And by the way, this whole content creator industry, I think we've skewed to that. People create content because they enjoy it, they get addicted, they get excited. And the question is, what did it accomplish for you? So I use different tools, different frameworks, but basically my goal is to eliminate busy work, not create it. So I have a North Star rule that guides me in business, and that is, I've got corporate goals, I've got a vision, I've got a mission. Every day I ask, did this get me closer to my end game, my end goal, or not? And if the answer is no, the question is, why did I do it? So, yes, AI has a lot of rabbit holes. You can get distracted. My advice, pick one thing in your business that you think ChatGPT can help you with, master that, get really good at it, save time at it, prove to yourself over and over that that thing is done better, faster, more effectively, more efficiently. Optimize one thing. And once you see the result, then go optimize something else. Busy work is if you're just playing around, and for what it's worth, I used to do that. I'd write a blog post or a LinkedIn article, and they say, okay, show me how Yoda would say this. Okay, now how would Robin Williams say this? How would Shakespeare say this? That was busy work, but to me, I was learning, so it was fun, busy work. But again, that's why I created the Digital Dojo, so that I can teach people quickly. I've spent thousands of hours, probably over 10,000 hours over the last 3+ years, learning how to use ChatGPT. And through all of that, I was able to distill the 10 core areas that I think someone else would need to master. And that's how I created the Digital Dojo. Is okay, I took the long scenic route, the winding path around. How do I give people the short path? And I think that's the exciting thing. I've been able to take 3 years of hard earned labor and learning, and distill it into 10 modules that people can pick up and master fairly quickly. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying you're going to be an expert in ChatGPT after you complete my 10 modules. What I'm going to say is will have the theoretical framework, you'll have the grounding, and it's up to you then to practice. You can't master something without intentional practice. I will give you the tools to use. It is up to you to pick up the tools and use them. Question 10. What is one quick win I can try this week to prove that using ChatGPT is worth my time? This is a profound question, and it is really, truly the heart of everything that I believe in, everything that I do. So I created the Digital Dojo because when I started out, I had to sift through hundreds of hours of YouTube nonsense. Now, I didn't know it was nonsense at the time, but watching video after video, trying to learn things, I quickly learned that there was a lot of garbage out there. Now, to be clear, there was also some really cool, really amazing, really insightful stuff, which is why I kept doing it. But at the start of a YouTube video, it is generally a little bit difficult to say, is this person going to add value to me or waste an hour of my life? So one quick win I would give you is to identify one task in your business that drives you crazy, something repetitive, monotonous, and use ChatGPT to figure out within that task, whatever that task is, What could I eliminate, automate, or delegate? And basically, it is amazing if you've got a task and my level of is it worth looking at, if you spend more than 2-3 hours a week and you do the thing every week, or at least more than once a month, it's worth looking at it and seeing what we can analyze. So first things first, I always share, here's what my system is, here's how I do this. Then I will share, and you give background, like here's the industry, here's the role, et cetera, and ask ChatGPT to help you create, first and foremost, a standard operating procedure based on what do you currently do? And by the way, in a perfect world, this should be a specific task that brings in revenue into your business. So, for example, sales meetings, sales calls, creating conversations with prospects, posting on social media. Think about something that, and because it's ChatGPT, think about something that's written and that maybe ChatGPT could help you speed up the writing process. And basically, what I do, again, this is something repetitive, something well inside out. If something takes you 5 hours every week, ask ChatGPT to help you optimize it. So what that means, you might ask it to help you identify the experts that maybe you should be studying. If it's, for example, marketing, what categories of experts can help me understand the marketing better? Ask it to identify some experts that actually have contributed to the world's knowledge on this topic, who's got some original thought on it. What would these experts have to say to help me optimize this? And then I always say, next step, I look at what are some best practices for this task. So the best practices for me is kind of a gateway. I also will ask ChatGPT, what are common myths that are holding me back about this thing? What are common mistakes people make with this thing? And then the next piece is I share what I do or how I do that thing. And then I will say, based on our expert categories, our experts, and our best practices, help me create a process for this so that I can either eliminate, automate, or delegate. So I have a very simple prompt. Basically, the idea is help me find bloat or fluff or whatever waste in my day. And I always look at the filter of, is this effective versus is this efficient? And I talk about this a lot. I'll bring it up here. Efficient is do this thing right. Do the thing right. Effective is do the right thing. Now, a lot of people go straight to efficient, and honestly, I think that's the biggest mistake people make with ChatGPT is they go right to how do I do this better? The real question is, should I do this, period? So what you can do is find the things in your week that you can eliminate, automate, or delegate. And I use the Pareto principle. And what I try to do is identify what's the 20% of my time that gets me 80% of the positive results. And I get ChatGPT to help me do more of that or do that better. And on the bottom end, I look at it and say, what's the 20% of my time that generates 80% of my frustration or problems or whatever? And then I get ChatGPT to help me eliminate that. So what I'm doing is taking the top 20% activities and optimizing them, taking the bottom 20% activities, and that can be stuff that doesn't generate cash or that drains my energy or just annoys me, and it helps me eliminate them. So adding 20% at the top, optimizing it, 20% at the bottom, eliminating it. Most of the time, the 60% in the middle doesn't matter. But once you've got that, that's a down the road thing. But for you today, if you're looking for a quick win, look to identify what is your biggest and best use of your time in a week. Now, I'll give you a really practical example. I use relative weightings. I give things weights of something is a $10 an hour task, which basically means it's kind of like running errands. It doesn't add value, but it's got to be done, maybe. $100 value, $100 an hour tasks. They're a little more important. They keep the lights on, but they're not going to get us to our goals. And then I have $1,000 hour and $10,000 an hour. The $1,000 an hour is stuff that is important and it will help us get some of our goals, but not all of them. And then the 10,000 is the highly strategic, big thinker stuff. So basically, what I try to do is eliminate, automate, or delegate the $10 and $100 hour tasks, and I try to find ways to do more of the 1,000 and the 10,000. And my little rule of thumb is I want to do every week at least one $10,000 per hour thing. So I want to spend an hour a week at that high level, minimum an hour. I try to do 5 hours a week at the $1,000. And really, truly, I recognize that the 100 and the 10 will always be there. People being people, we get distracted, we get busy. But what I ask ChatGPT to do is help me identify the relative value in my business of the things I do so that I can choose what I'm optimizing for and what I'm trying to eliminate. So that's hopefully a quick win. You can plug in a few things, and if my 4-point relative dollar value confuses you, just ask ChatGPT, help me identify the tactical things in my business versus the strategic things. Almost always, we're so busy with tactical, we forget about strategic. So I hope that was useful, and that is question 10. Now, if you haven't already, and I'm going to guess if you're watching this, you're either taking it as a CPE course or you're watching the free version. The free version is exactly the material we teach our members in the Digital Dojo. However, the difference is this is theory. Love theory. Theory's good. However, without practice, I always say knowledge without action is wasted potential. So in the Digital Dojo, what we do is we take the theory, we customize it for each of our students. More accurately, we show our students how to customize it for themselves, and then we actually practice. And we also focus on sharing knowledge, helping others. So it is truly a community, and the idea is here's how we help one another. So our white belt level, the stage 0, it is the foundations. We have a really basic course that is available for free, and our white belt level is also free because honestly, at this point, you're trying to learn how to swim and you're more likely to drown if you're left alone. We want people to get good foundational skills so that they have the strength to move forward and move into the other levels. Now, we have a total of 10 levels. I will get into a few of them quickly, but the yellow belt, which is what you're watching, the paid membership is an investment of $100 a month, and our orange belt is also $100. And that's a relatively low investment on purpose. So the white belt is free because we want to test people. We want to see if we're fit to work together. We're assessing whether you are fit for our community, and we want you to assess whether we're fit for your world. If we do that in the white belt, the free setting, There's no pressure. All of us get to decide with confidence if we move forward together or not. So we made that free on purpose. That was a choice. I don't want to have to build a massive marketing and sales team. Either you see the value or you don't. And then as the belts progress, our green and blue belts are $250 a month, and our purple and brown are $500. And the reason that goes up is that we're showing more value. We're helping you expand your ROI. You're more confident. You're going to get more value, and you're going to need more support. So we wanted to make this simple. Either you see the value and you move up, or you're staying where you are until you see the value. And really, truly, there is no pressure. We don't say, oh, you have to test to move up to the next belt level. If you're comfortable at yellow, stay at yellow. There's no timeline. There's no pressure. We don't push people. The goal of the yellow and the white belt, and honestly, even the orange belt, we're building confidence. And then once you've got that confidence, you get to the red belt. It is also $500 a month. And the reason it's still $500, you're still learning. Now we have a black belt and a double black belt. That is $1,000 a month. And that is an exclusive invitation only. And the reason we do that is because we know you're getting value. You know you're getting value. And the question is, how do we keep creating value together? So we priced it at $1,000. It is a filter. Those who pay it show up and play full on. We have a sparring group where it is truly iron sharpens iron. We only want the people who are serious about becoming the best version of themselves in that group. So $1,000 is enough to scare off people who aren't serious, and it's low enough that it's not going to scare off somebody who's serious. We do want to make sure, as I said, we want you to demonstrate to yourself and to be seeing at least a 10x, 10 times return on your investment. If you're not, I guarantee you're not going to stay with us. You're not going to make progress. So we're very picky who we let into the black belt program, because if you haven't mastered the fundamentals, you're not going to see the return on investment we hope for you. So we want to make sure it's a fit for everybody. So thank you for listening. Thank you for paying attention, and thank you for resonating, I hope, with this content and the questions. If there's one you have and we haven't answered, feel free to ask. We look forward to seeing you in the Pharos Digital Dojo.